and Mr. Bagaloo. Ladies and gentlemen, you may have your seats. Good evening, Sangre, Grande. Sangre, Grande, it's so good to be back here. It's so very, very good to be back here. Ladies and gentlemen, our Prime Minister has just arrived, and I really want you all to give him a thunderous round of applause when he gets here. You could start clapping all now. Christopher Rowley, Senator the Honorable Rohan Sinanan, Her Excellency Ambassador Penelope Beckles and PNM's candidate for Arima, Mr. Ronnie Lochan, your candidate for Kumoto Manzanilla, Mr. Roger Monroe, your candidate here in Toko Sangre Grande, Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of National Security, Mrs. Glenda Jennings-Smith, local government representatives, including former Sangre Grande Regional Corporation Chairman Councillor Martin Terry Rondon, constituency executive members and other members of the campaign team, to our listening and viewing audience, a very good evening and welcome to this PNM's virtual campaign meeting. Trinidad and Tobago, today, Kamla Persad Bissessa and the UNC cast ominous clouds over this twin island republic. Today, our horrified nation was assaulted with blatant racism, classism, and colorism by Kamla and her crew in their desperate bid to win the upcoming election. But Trinidad and Tobago, ladies and gentlemen, our country was built on the principles of interracial solidarity. And I quote from Dr. Eric Williams's book, Forged from the Love of Liberty, "There can be no Mother India, there can be no Mother Africa, there can be no Mother England, there can be no Mother China, and there can be no Mother Syria and no Mother Lebanon. A nation, like an individual, can have only one mother. The only mother we recognize is Trinidad and Tobago, and mother cannot discriminate between her children. And the PNM does not discriminate between the children of Trinidad and Tobago. You see, Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. Williams and the PNM had identified a clear task: to forge one loyalty out of many and to end division and discord amongst the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Yet, here we are in 2020, and the UNC continues to act against the interests of this country. They continue to perpetuate hate and division, and if for nothing else, we must reject them on Monday. We must choose Mother Trinidad and Tobago. There is no pseudo-mother of this nation. Too much is at stake to let that band of brigands govern this land. Ladies and gentlemen, we call upon you to act responsibly and make the right choice on Monday, the 10th of August, and vote solidly for the People's National Movement, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, you will hear from your candidates and ministers on their vision, and they will account for their performance over the past few years. And you will understand why you are called upon now more than ever to make the right choice. And we move on into our program now, ladies and gentlemen. A true son of this northeastern region, Ronnie Lochan was born, bred, and educated in this northeastern region. The name Lochan echoes service and community support in these here parts. True or false? True or false? The son of former local government councillor Barry Lochan, Ronnie is a second-generation PNM politician who is acutely aware of the needs and nuances of his constituency. Enthusiastic, energetic, and ready for the task, PNM is pleased to present Mr. Ronnie Lochan. Sangre Grande, I ask you to warmly welcome the PNM's standard bearer for the constituency of Kumoto Manzanilla. Please give a round of applause for Mr. Ronnie Lochan.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, Ms. Lauren Lezama Leasing. Thank you for that wonderful, wonderful rendition of me, Ronnie Lochan. Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley, candidate for Diego Martin West, political leader of the People's National Movement and the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Honorable Rohan Sinanan, Deputy Political Leader on Policy Matters of the People's National Movement, Minister of Works and Transport, and I must mention that he is a product of Kumoto Manzalena. Her Excellency Penelope Beckles Robinson, candidate for constituency of Arima and Ambassador Permanent Representative of Trinidad and Tobago to the United Nations. Mr. Roger Monroe, candidate for Toko Sangre Grande, Alderman of the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation. Mr. Martin Terry Rondon, former chairman of the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation, Councillor, former MP for Toko Sangre Grande, Mr. Glenda Jennings-Smith, Mr. Bagalu, Mr. Pierre, media, all persons present here today, the listening and viewing audience, people of Kumoto Manzalena. I am your boy, Ronnie Lochan, aka Shortman, from within the constituency of Kumoto Manzalena. Born, lived, worked, served, and I will continue to serve in the constituency of Kumoto Manzalena. No stranger to service, I have actively contributed to the development of my region by serving on several committees, organizations. Presently, I am the president of Unique Sports Club, the secretary of the Finance Committee of the TTCB Northeast Zone, and a member of the Sangre Grande Chamber of Commerce. I have actively contributed to the NGOs and CBOs and religious organizations, graduations, youth and social developmental programs in Kumoto Manzalena. I would like to present to you my plans and intentions in representing you, the people of Kumoto Manzalena, as the next Member of Parliament. But before I do so, I would want to share with you some of the track records of this PNM administration, this caring government, this PNM government, this government that is working for you. Some of the projects in Sangre Grande regions which have been completed and others already started included the license office in Guayco, the Kumoto to Manzalena Highway, the lighting of a number of recreation grounds, the new Sangre Grande Hospital, decentralization of government offices, Sangre Grande to Toko Highway, leading to a brand new state-of-the-art Toko ferry port, paving of agricultural access roads, namely in Plumita and Bish, development of the lagoon in Plumita, and many, many, many more. Too much to mention tonight. So let's get back to my goals and plans for our constituency, which will be seamlessly aligned to the People's National Movement 2020 Manifesto. We intend to make Kumoto Manzalena the hub for agro production and processing. This government has already committed to agricultural development by starting the Maruga Tableland Agro Processing Facility. So we in the People's National Movement will continue to work with the farmers of Kumoto Manzalena. Also, due to the vast expanse of our diverse natural resource and eco-tourism potential, we intend to enhance the local tourism sector in Kumoto Manzalena. Such projects include rejuvenating the Fish and Pond Broadwalk facility to create a tourism-friendly atmosphere, renewing the interest in the Bat Cave in Tamana, and to continue beach beautification and reclamation projects on the Manzalena coastline. Our National Development Strategies team is putting people first. We seek to nurture our greatest asset by marrying this with a new drive in making a digital society, one which the PNM government have embarked on many, many years ago and is continuing that process to develop this digital society. I will be helping or will be working with the PNM government for Kumoto Manzalena by building what we call a database of my constituency. And I will be mindful of all the privacy laws and concerns that will follow. This is part of the PNM's e-governance program. Kumoto Manzalena database will allow us to manage the affairs of the people in a more efficient and effective manner. Ensuring that PNM cares and cares for all, we have recognized that there is no Muslim educational facility and there is no facility from Aruca to Arima, to Valencia, to Sangre Grande, to Manzalena, to Bish, to Mayaro, as far as Rio Claro. It is our intention, therefore, to work along with the Muslim community to advocate for such. On my walk through the constituency, I listed and listened to your concerns. Your concerns about roads, water supply, flooding, and unemployment. I would like you all to know that the PNM government is committed to having better roads and water supply to you all in Kumoto Manzalena and Trinidad and Tobago. The PNM government is committed to the reduction of flooding and unemployment to you, the people of Kumoto Manzalena, and by extension, Trinidad and Tobago. The PNM government is committed to good governance to all of Trinidad and Tobago. You see, my friends, representation from someone who knows what you know in Kumoto Manzan, who sees what you see in Kumoto Manzan, who lives where you live in Kumoto Manzan, is representation for all of Kumoto Manzan. My friends, This is just some of our plans in Kumoto Manzalena. So I urge you to come out in your numbers on August the 10th and make the right choice. Vote for the Balize. Vote for your PNM candidate. Vote for Ronnie Lochan. And on the night of August the 10th, we will continue to rejoice and say, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, and we shall prevail.
For the love of we country, we go vote to protect the treasury. Vote. It's only Dr. Rowley, the righteous for TMT. It's the choice, PNM.
Not yet in office, ladies and gentlemen, but he has articulated a clear vision for each and every one of the residents in Kumoto Manzanilla, and which you, the residents of Sangre Grande, will also be beneficiaries. Thank you very much, Mr. Ronnie Lochan. Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker needs little introduction. He has been involved in this constituency, working with you, supporting you, and standing side by side with you throughout the length and breadth of Toko Sangre Grande. He is a dynamic, passionate, and very affable young man who is eager to serve each and every one of you. His passion for service was bolstered upon his appointment as an alderman at the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation, and his performance has been excellent since his appointment. Ladies and gentlemen, the People's National Movement is delighted to present to you the candidate of choice for the constituency of Toko Sangre Grande, the man for whom you will cast your vote on Monday, the 10th of August. Please welcome Mr. Roger Monroe.
We're together in this, you and I. Yes, the job will be done and the race will be won, and we know we will win every time. And we go vote for the love of we country. We go vote to protect the treasury.
Thank you, Master of Ceremony, Mistress Laura Lizama Leasing. Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley, Minister of Works and Transport, Senator the Honorable Mr. Rohan Sinanan, Her Excellency, Mistress Penelope Beckles Robinson, fellow candidate for Kumoto Manzalena, Mr. Ronnie Lochan, Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of National Security, and the lady that served us for the last 5 years diligently, Ms. Glenda Jennings-Smith, all local government representatives, the chairman of the constituency, Ms. Gillian Edwards, specially invited guests, police officers, media, viewing and listening public, the people of Toko Sangre Grande, PNM family, good evening. Good evening. Nice. Tonight I stand here as a humble young man, born and bred in the constituency known for it being the lifeline of Trinidad and Tobago, from our name Sangre Grande, meaning big blood, to our aggregate that has literally built every home, business, government tower in our nation. For the past 15 years, I've been involved in the constituency of Toko Sangre Grande through several sporting, cultural, and entrepreneurial activities. My life experience thus far has modeled me to be a well-rounded citizen, father, neighbor, and friend. These characteristics instilled in me provide the ability to serve the people of Toko Sangre Grande with distinction. I've been asked on the ground, why is the PNM the right choice? And I stand here to say without fear of successful contradiction that the PNM is the only political party to take Toko Sangre Grande forward. Mr. Prime Minister, I say it here to you tonight The people of Toko Sangre Grande supports the People National Movement 100%. The PNM vision for job creation, industrialization, economic stability, and wealth creation is what our region deserves. And we stand firmly in saying that the PNM has been getting the job done and is the right choice. I endorse the construction of the Toko port, as this is geared towards creating over 3,000 realistic jobs and specialized training to ensure that the construction and maintenance will be done by the people of Toko Sangre Grande. Bridging the gap between Tobago, Toko, and Valencia, this venture ensures that the tourism industry in the constituency grows to the capacity that allows us to become more self-sustaining or self-sufficient. I intend to see the completion of the comprehensive road network that is currently underway from Komoto to Manzalina and Valencia to Toko. This highway project will be complemented with the local entrepreneur via multiple rest stops, each providing an opportunity for a unique taste and outlook of what the constituency has to offer. From this highway, we will all have access to increased opportunities, success, business ventures, and investors to the people of Toko Sangre Grande. Ladies and gentlemen, Toko Sangre Grande, your humble servant, Roger Monroe, wants to remind you, in keeping with my vision for Toko Sangre Grande, I intend to follow through with meaningful infrastructural development and enhancement to drainage, roadworks, and recreational facilities, amongst other things, so that the standard of living and comfort for you, the constituents, will improve. I stand here proud to say that the best hospital care in our nation is the Sangre Grande Hospital. You want best health care? Come Grande. You want best nurse? Come Grande. You want best doctor? Come Grande. And now, this PNM government is constructing a brand new hospital for Toko Sangre Grande, which will also provide job creation and many other opportunities. The PNM isn't only the right choice, but is the only choice. The PNM is the only party to ensure from start to finish, from nursery to tertiary, the people of this nation were provided with opportunities, free education, free transportation, free meals, and this was in conjunction with all of the other educational facilities that the state has provided. Now, I propose for the coastal region of our constituency, I intend to lobby for a sub-university campus with specialized courses geared towards technical training for the Toko port. These courses should include tourism management, entrepreneurship, marine repairs, and so much more. As a young businessman myself, I know the difficulties faced when you move from childhood to manhood. A certificate in hand, but no job opportunities and no money to create your own business. To assist with this, I intend to forge a relationship with NIDCO and partner with them to ensure that the young people of Toko Sangre Grande can apply and gain funding for the creation of their own business. The development of our youths is at the top of my list. In our constituency, we deserve a skill center similar to those in the Southland that will capture all our skilled youths and provide guidance to job opportunities. This is why the PNM is the right choice. My people, the PNM is the only choice for development of our tourism industry in Toko Sangre Grande. Our region is home to a variety of flora and fauna. It is my vision to promote our locality and in turn enhance the development of our human resources by way of increasing employment through tourism. Imagine a comprehensive network with registered tour guides, hiking teams, development and maintenance of trail, safety officers, local and foreign tourists. With the PNM, I see is the ability for the people of Toko Sangre Grande to access gainful employment through the process that my people, that's why my people, the only good choice is the PNM. Toko Sangre Grande has produced several athletes that has been recognized both locally and internationally. Therefore, I intend to continue that trend by revitalizing sporting groups in the constituency by way of working with the public and private entities to support, enhance, and launch new and existing sporting disciplines. That, my people, is why the PNM is the only choice, the right choice. In recognizing that in the future, food security may be one of our major concerns, we as citizens must utilize, develop, expand, and enhance the uniqueness of our land for reduction in unemployment and increased financial stability. To fulfill this, I intend to lobby for a packing house in the region to ensure that the best quality products are provided for local use and exportation. The industrialization of the agriculture sector in Toko Sangre Grande will be the cornerstone of our development. This again provides opportunity for increased employment, new business, and a healthier society. This is why the PNM is the only choice. In closing, I, Roger Monroe, candidate and upcoming Member of Parliament for Toko Sangre Grande, take this opportunity to tell you that I have this constituency at heart, and I intend to represent each and every one of you, whether you voted for me and the People's National Movement or not. On Monday, August the 10th, come out and vote for a young man that carries the characteristics of these letters that spell my name. And we are going to spell Roger. And the first letter in Roger is R. And we start with R for respectful, O for organized, G for generous, E for effective. And you need a rational candidate who will make the right choices and serve the people. Vote for Roger Monroe. So my people of Toko Sangre Grande, on election day, I beg you, make no mistake with your future, your children's future, the future of the nation. Make sure and put your X by the Balize for Roger Monroe in Toko Sangre Grande and the other 40 PNM candidates. PNM people, ram your X by the Balize, and when the final vote is counted, we shall all shout in unison, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, and we shall prevail. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Yes, and ladies and gentlemen, Roger Monroe is the right choice for you here in Toko Sangre Grande. I am certain that he has articulated many of your needs and wants for this community. And so the PNM will continue to provide you with excellent representation from 2020 when you elect Roger Monroe. Ladies and gentlemen, the UNC thinks that you and I are too blank to understand the vile, distasteful assault on our senses. But Trinidad and Tobago, you and I know much better. We know much, much better. On Monday, the 10th of August, we are called upon to make a decision that is critical to the future of our country. We are not in ordinary times, but you must understand how important you, each and every citizen of this country, how important you are to the future of this nation. The voting process may take a few minutes longer than usual, but would you trade off a few minutes on Monday the 10th for 5 years of horror? Would you trade off a few minutes on Monday the 10th for 5 years of horror? Would you trade it off for 5 years of torture? Would you trade it off for 5 years of trickery? Would you trade it off for 5 years of draining the treasury? So on Monday, Trinidad and Tobago, Toco, Sangre, Grande, take those few extra minutes. The EBC has put out guidelines that you will be safe. You are called upon to make the right choice. Trinidad and Tobago, Toco, Sangre, Grande, can we count on you for that? Can we count on you for that? Will you make the right choice on Monday, the 10th of August? Thank you so very much. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the right choice in Arima is a lady who goes by the name of Mrs. Penelope Beckles Robinson. You, the people of Toco Sangre Grande, must know her very, very well, for she has been the MP for Arima, which borders your constituency, for 10 years from 2000 to 2010. She first entered the political foray as a councillor in 1992 for the electoral district of Arima Northeast. She went on to become an opposition senator and then member of parliament and minister. She has also served as the first female deputy speaker of the House of Representatives in Trinidad and Tobago. She currently serves as Trinidad and Tobago's permanent representative to the United Nations. Would you please welcome PNM's choice of candidate for the constituency of Arima, Her Excellency Penelope Beckles Robinson.
Good night, Sangre Grande. Our political leader of the People's National Movement, the Honorable Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, and the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, and the candidate for the constituency of Dago Martin West, Honorable Rohan Sinanan, Deputy Political Leader of the People's National Movement and Minister of Works and Transport, your sitting Member of Parliament, Mrs. Glenda Jennings-Smith, your next candidate for the constituency of Camuto Manzalina, Mr. Ronnie Lochan, the next Member of Parliament for the constituency of Toco Sangre Grande, Mr. Roger Monroe, councillors, and let me, of course, recognize one of your long-standing members of the People's National Movement Women's League, Ms. Bartlett. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be back here once again in Sangre Grande. During the local government elections, I had the distinction of walking with Councillor Paul Mongelas and walking in the area of Boabande, where I had the opportunity to see the kind of investment that the People's National Movement has made in infrastructure in the Sangre Grande constituency. Sangre Grande is what I would say to you that you have a unique geography and an abundance of natural blessings. One of the longest coastlines with both the Caribbean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean washing your shores. Home to the nesting grounds of the world-famous leatherback turtle, wonderful beaches, trails, and waterfalls. And Grande is one of the fastest growing commercial areas in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, on Monday the 10th of August, 4 days from today, we go to the polls. And there is a lot at stake. The future of your country, the future of your children, the safety of the most vulnerable, economically and health-wise. On Monday, you will be asked to take a decision about the future you want for this country, about the future you want for Grande, about the future you want for your children. Now, within the last couple days, I must say to you that I have been taking note of a particular desperation that I have been seeing by members of a particular party in their desperation to represent you. I have been seeing people offering fridges, stove, TV, washing machine. And I asked the people of Grande, and I asked the people of Camuto Manzanilla, I asked the people of Arima, I asked the people of Diego Martin West, I asked the people of Trinidad and Tobago, do you really believe that when someone shows up in front of your door with a truck offering you a washing machine and a TV, do you really believe those people love you? Do you really believe that these people love Trinidad and Tobago? Do you really believe that these people want the best for you? And you know, I ask myself, of course you have a choice. When they come to you and basically they are saying to you, I give you a TV for your vote. I give you a fridge for your vote. Do those people really deserve your vote? Do you think that the choice to put a government in power, that your vote is worth a fridge, that your vote is worth a television, that your vote is worth a washing machine and a dryer, that your vote is worth a couch? And I see candidates actually there literally ushering people into people's houses with these things. I mean, I am amazed at the vulgarity and the desperation of some people to come to you 4 days and 5 days and 1 week before an election, and they believe that your vote is equivalent to a fridge. People of Grande and people of Camuto Manzanilla, this is a serious, serious matter. And I really hope, the choice is yours. The choice is yours to take the fridge and to take the TV and whatever it is. That is your choice. But you must think of your future, because this is about representation. This is about morality. This is about integrity. This is about the right choice. And if this is the best they can do for you by equating your vote with a fridge and a television and a stove and a dryer, you must think again. And I really hope that you would think again. And you need to ask yourself, what is the price of your vote? And I'm not talking about fridges and refrigerators and furniture and microwaves. I am asking you, what is the price you will pay if you do not vote for the People's National Movement come the 10th of August? What will it cost you? We have heard of irresponsible and uninformed and ridiculous statements of intent from the leader of the opposition. about how the UNC plans to continue their squandermania and spendermania by attacking your savings in the unit trust and your pensions in the national insurance scheme. That is the cost, your future and your children's future. And if you think that Kamla Persad-Bissessar is joking about attacking the national insurance scheme and spending your savings before you can collect a pension, look at what she did with your NIS money in May 2014 when she was the Prime Minister. The Board of Directors of the National Insurance Board, acting on behalf of the UNC government, bought a building at Queen's Park, Savannah, and Port of Spain from the owners who operate 2 high-end restaurants at that location. The National Insurance Board paid the owners $37 million, but the building was valued at $16.6 million, so that Kamla's National Insurance Board paid more than 2 times the value of the building. Then on top of that, they spent $5 million to refurbish the building. And then, imagine this, they leased the same building back to the same people they bought it from for 10 years at a monthly rental of $96,000 plus VAT, with an option to buy the building back. So, you see, ask yourself, fridge, TV, do they really care about you? What about the time in our lives when our grandparents, our parents, our aunts and uncles told us how important it is for you to work hard for what you want? Have we forgotten that? Has that gone out of the window? Is that what we want our children to believe? That is like Santa Claus appearing in front of you to give you these things that you never earn? And then they want to blame somebody else when we have children thinking that you don't have to work hard for what is yours, because somebody else could just pull up in front of your yard and just hand you this and hand you that. You think about it. You think about it seriously, and you think about the consequences of that message. Think about it. Because when the government, the PNM government, tells you about education and tells you about grants and tells you about self-help, that is taxpayers' money. That is your money that you worked for. And the government then puts policies and plans in place utilizing the money that you worked for, the taxes that you have paid. And there is equity in the distribution of the resources from the government of the People's National Movement. So that, don't forget, when you go to the polls on the 10th of August, this is about sustainability. This is about policies. This is about vision. This is about truth. This is about honesty. This is about integrity. And I want to speak not only to the people of Sangre, Grande and the people of Komuto Manzalan. I want to talk to the people of Arima too tonight and La Hoqueta Talparo. Because I've walked with Foster Cummings and I've heard the pleas and the cries of some people as it relates to water. And I want to say to you, in a very simple way, as I've said, that some people who are, when I walked today, when I walked in Zone 8 and I walked in Macherita, and the people of Arima are saying to me that they are taking note of the time at which this issue of lacking water, of no water, has escalated. And I don't know if you have the problem in Sangre Grande, I'll have to speak, okay? But ask yourself, when did this problem just escalate all of a sudden? I am a former Minister of Public Utilities under the People's National Movement, and I understand a lot. And the people themselves of Arima, of La Hoqueta, Talparo, and others understand a lot more about what is going on in this situation. But I want you to know that the People's National Movement, we are listening and we understand, and we are very empathetic and sympathetic to your plight. And believe you me, this is not a matter that is going to be left idly. It wouldn't be left that way. And that is all I say at this particular point in time. Now, in Trinidad and Tobago, some people will say and do nothing to get your vote. And for me, leadership is all about responsibility. Whether you are a class captain, a school captain, a club president, head of a family, head of a religious organization, or head of a government, responsibility is crucial. As a leader, you are responsible for the success or failure of those you lead. And that comes with the ability to make difficult decisions. I commend the quotation from the late American businessman Arnold Glasgow, who said, "One of the tests of leadership is the ability to recognize a problem before it becomes an emergency." We are facing a COVID pandemic, a never-before-seen strain of coronavirus with a higher mortality rate than the regular flu. Larger, wealthier nations than ours are struggling to cope. And so far, we have done better than most countries in the world. And that is down to effective leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley. And under his leadership, the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago has followed the scientific advice of our public health experts and taken measures that have not been popular but have been necessary and have earned Trinidad and Tobago international recognition as the country best prepared to cope with the pandemic. On Monday, you have a choice. You can choose to stay the course with a government that has recognized the threat of the COVID-19 and acted to keep us safe as responsibly as possible. Or you can choose to have a government led by a woman who believes sunlight kills COVID and who will probably take medical advice from Lord knows who. The environment, the sunlight. That's where her advice comes from. Kamla Prasad Bisesa has no plans to deal with COVID. She has said to you openly she wants to open the borders. Now, you have heard our Honorable Prime Minister, the Minister of National Security, the Minister of Health speak about the fact that we know that the Trinidadians and Tobagonians that want to come home. But we have to be careful, and we are taking advice from the experts. So this impression that they want to give, that we do not want our people home, you have seen where we continue to manage the situation to ensure the safety of all the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. Now, the Bible tells you that where there is no vision, the people perish. And the UNC lacks vision. And on Monday, the 10th of August, it is up to you to decide whether you perish or not. Your survival, our survival, starts here in Toko Sandy Grande and Komuto Manzalina. In every constituency of Trinidad and Tobago, your survival at this point in time is dependent on the choice that you make come the 10th of August. So I say to you, on Monday the 10th of August, vote for someone when he looks in the mirror or he appears in a video, he can say to you, I am Roger Monroe. So when you vote come the 10th of August, you vote for your member of parliament. He's an alderman. An alderman selected by the People's National Movement. You know of him. You know he's a young businessman, a successful businessman. We very often talk about the fact that we don't give young people opportunities. And here it is. The People's National Movement has selected a young, successful businessman. And very often we talk about the fact that we don't have mentors. We don't have people that we can, when we look around, we can see people who have been successful, people who have used opportunities provided to them by the government, who have educated themselves, and who have built their wealth honestly. That is Roger Monroe. And Mr. Ronnie Lochan, who comes from a family who has always been involved in politics. Someone who has consistently, his family has consistently served the people of Kamuto. And he is now continuing in the footsteps of his father and many other members of the Lochan family. And that is what the People's National Movement is all about. Continuity of leadership and politics. And I want to close by saying to you, as a Latin writer, Publilius Cyrus said over 2,000 years ago, anyone can hold the helm when the sea is calm. Anyone can hold the helm. But right now, with this COVID pandemic, our seas are not calm. And we need the continuity of experience matched by determination that only a PNM government, a PNM Prime Minister in the name of Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, who has delivered and continues to deliver. On Monday, make the right choice. Make the only choice. You're choosing not just our Prime Minister, but you're choosing a team. You're choosing people that you know. You're choosing people who have been tried and tested. Your vote is not about a fridge. Your vote is about the future of Trinidad and Tobago. Your vote is about ensuring that you put the right persons to lead our country. And the right leader and the next Prime Minister is the Honorable Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. So I say to the people of Toko, Sangre, Grande, and Kamuto, Manzilina, you have heard your two candidates. We are all here to support your two candidates, two young men, both sons of the soil, in whom you can be pleased. I say on the 10th of August, vote Ronnie Lochan, vote Roger Monroe, vote the People's National Movement, vote Dr. Keith Rowley for Diego Martin West, vote Penelope Beckles for Arima, and come the night of the 10th of August, we shall say, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, and it shall prevail.
Penelope, people, progress, prosperity, People's National Movement. Ladies and gentlemen, make the right choice. And as Ms. Beckles has asked, what is the price of your vote? Let me remind you what you received when you cast your vote in 2015 for the People's National Movement. The PNM expanded the social net to provide support to over 200,000 citizens each year at an annual cost of $5 billion. The PNM built 15 play parks in various communities. The PNM recruited over 800 municipal police officers assigned to the 14 regional corporations. The PNM brought into law a sexual offenders registry. The PNM ended child marriage in Trinidad and Tobago. And ladies and gentlemen, the PNM launched free public Wi-Fi at City Gate, PTSC Terminal, San Fernando PTSD Terminal, 16 public libraries across the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago, as well as at the Queen's Park Savannah, Woodford Square, and several other public spaces in Trinidad and Tobago. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the value of your votes. And if you want to get more of that, you are required to make the right choice on Monday, the 10th of August. And we are continuing with PNM performance, ladies and gentlemen. Here to report to you tonight is your own homegrown boy, a Grande boy, who boasts all over the country that the best place to live is Sangre, Grande. Last night he was mamagayin Tunapuna and told them they were the second, but he was steadfast that Sangre Grande was the first, and he has remained very loyal to you here in this northeastern region of Trinidad and Tobago. He has previously served as an alderman in the Tunapuna Piarco Regional Corporation. He currently serves as the Minister of Works and Transport, having been appointed a government senator. He is our party's campaign manager, and he is our deputy political leader with responsibility for policy. Ladies and gentlemen, he is hardworking, he is effective, he is dynamic, and he is extremely reliable. PNM people, Trinidad and Tobago, would you please welcome to the microphone to report to you on his tenure as the Minister of Works and Transport, the Honorable Rohan Sinanan.
Heads up high, we're together in this, you and I. Yes, the job will be done and the race will be won, and we know we will win every time. And we go for the love we got.
Thank you. Let me start by welcoming the Honorable Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, to whom, my home, Sangre Grande. Dr. Rowley, as you all know, is a candidate for Diego Martin West, a sitting member of Parliament for Diego Martin West, the political leader of the People's National Movement, and the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Today, tomorrow, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all the way down until Dr. Rowley feels that he wants to go home. And we will never allow Dr. Rowley to go anywhere. Dr. Rowley will remain with us here as long as he wants to remain. Her Excellency, Penelope Beckles Robinson, the next Member of Parliament for Arima. And I can tell you, somebody have to be brave to go up against Penny Beckles in Arima. Mr. Ronnie Lochan, the next Member of Parliament for Kumoto Manzalena. And Mr. Roger Monroe, the next Member of Parliament for Toko Sangre Grande. I'd like to also recognize Ms. Glenda Jennings-Smith, Mr. Terry Rondon, and we have our candidate, a couple other councillors here, and aldermen from the Sangre Grande Regional Corporation, members of the Toko Sangre Grande and Kumoto Manzalena Executive, members of the listening and viewing audience at home, abroad, and members of the media also here welcome with us. We also want to welcome members of the protective services who are here. Only the PNM have ever done this in Sangre Grande. No other political party have done what you're seeing here today. Having two representatives, both of whom living in this constituency. History will tell you that the last time we had two representatives in Sangre Grande who live in the area was the Honorable Mr. Haradeo Hardat and Ms. Elmina Clark Allen. Those were the last two people who lived in Sangre Grande who represented the people of Sangre Grande. And that again was a PNM government providing two candidates who understood I don't know if you recognize that the UNC have never put somebody in Kumoto Manzalina who is from the area. Never. Go back to history and you'll see that. I don't know if they feel the people of Kumoto Manzalina are not bright enough, are not good enough, or maybe who will not listen to their political leader when she say jump high, they will say, how high, boss? I can assure you that we can find competent and honest people in Kumoto Manzalina and Toko Sangre Grande. And that is why we have always looked at putting people in this area who are from this area, because we know they are capable to run the affairs of this area. And tonight, I want to compliment the People's National Movement, the screening committee led by the political leader, for choosing 2 young candidates who are from the people, of the people, and for the people of Toko Sangre Grande and Kumoto Manzalina. Tonight, we are here to report to you on the promises that we made to you on that same Thursday night, way back in 2015, when we were blessed with showers. I don't know if you all can remember that. When the political leader addressed the people of Kumoto Manzalina and Toko Sangre Grande in the rain, and you were out in your thousands. It was the largest meeting that we closed the campaign off with. And you all stood in the rain and you listened. He promised you that if you elect a PNM government of the Eastern Seaboard, tonight we are here under different circumstances, because we can't bring out the thousands and thousands of people who always like to journey to Sangre Grande for this last final meeting. Unfortunately, the times have changed and we are living in some challenging times. This is a period where, thank God, we have a responsible government who is in charge of leading us in this challenging time. And on that night, Dr. Rowley promised you, the people, to improve the standard of living on the Eastern Seaboard. Because it was clear then that on the Eastern Seaboard, which controls almost half the landmass, we had the least opportunities. And even where those opportunities were, they were the lowest paid people. Unemployment was the highest. And clearly, we were left behind while the rest of the country was going forward. Quite a different story today. Because I can tell you, I had the responsibility for most of that 5 years. And from where I sit, you on the Eastern Seaboard got most of the budget in terms of infrastructure. Not that we got too much, not that you didn't deserve it, but for too long, you was left behind. And thanks for the vision of Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, I can report to you that the long-awaited highway to Sangre Grande is under full construction. That is Wallerfield to Sangre Grande. That highway from Valencia to Toko, that just 5 years ago, 4 years ago, people thought was a pie in the sky and a dream of the political leader that will never happen. Yesterday, we opened package A of phase 1. Opened, I didn't say turn the sod. We opened package A of phase 1. And as we speak, 8 contractors on board continuing that work in phase 1 from Valencia to the Toko Valencia junction. And package 2 started with 3 contractors. So you're Valencia to Toko Highway is under full construction. Phase 3 will start once 1 and 2 completed and the final statutory requirements are in hand. I can give you the assurance that by the end of 2022, middle to the end of 2022, you will be able to drive all the way to Toko on an international single-lane highway. Very soon, you will be able to take the Wallerfield to Sangre Grande highway, because that first phase, again, construction is on the way. Unfortunately, we did have some inclement weather, and I was really hoping that before this general election, that we would have been able to reach to at least Guayco. Unfortunately, the COVID set us back for the last 3 months, and the inclement weather coming out of last year did set us back. Your port in Toko, again, we expect to have a tender out by the end of this year for the start of construction for that port. But more than that, you see, tonight I want to report on the Eastern Seaboard. We can go on all the projects in the Ministry of Works, and we have quite a lot. But I want to talk about the amount. You see, our infrastructure here was probably the worst in the country. Our coastal erosion was bad. You go to Matlot, and almost half of Matlot was in the sea. The road caved in every morning because of the undercurrent. But if you go to Matlot now, and you see the amount of infrastructure, the amount of coastal projects to protect the coastline, never before. Never before. Coming all the way down, Sans Souci, all the way down, you'll see coastal projects. We go up to the East Coast, you drive up to Mayaro. I wonder how much of you know that there's a boardwalk created now by the river mouth in Manzalena, where people actually go up there. Relax. We have our own boardwalk right in Manzalena now, and it was a coastal protection project. And when we looked at it, we realized that we can create an atmosphere there that could attract people. And now you have people going up there, you have businesses being created just around that. So we have given you highway infrastructure, a lot of opportunities coming your way, a lot of coastal projects to protect the coastline. And very soon, what you will have is another port, phase 2 of the Galeota port in Mayaro. Cabinet have already approved NIDCO to have consultations with the preferred contractor. What does that port bring to you, the people of the Eastern Seaboard? The Galeota port is built to cater for most of the bigger vessels that will be soon bombarding Guyana. Because we understand our geography. That has a lot of potential for opportunities. And Roger said it. We will put in the training facilities because we can't expect our citizens on the Eastern Seaboard to go and take full advantage of opportunities when they were not trained for that. We have the Costard campus in Sangre Grande. We will improve on that. And as Roger said, I will work with Roger and Lochan to ensure that the facilities in Sangre Grande will be upgraded to cater for the new opportunities for you, the people of Sangre Grande. We want you to take advantage of all these opportunities. For too long, we had to depend on URP, CPEP, Regional Corporation, KFC, Royal Castle, the stores in Grande for employment. What we bring into you in Sangre Grande through the port in Toko, port in Mayaro, is real long-term employment with high-paying jobs. High-paying jobs. CPEP and URP are not jobs. They are the unemployment relief program. It's an unemployment relief program. You can't work forever in an unemployment relief program. And it hurts my heart as a Minister of Works, where URP falls under, when I hear people feel that once they get into URP, they reach. That can't be where you want to aspire to. It can't be where you want to aspire to. And that is why we had changed the whole concept of URP in the ministry. And I'll get to that just now. But Dr. Rowley would have given his blessings to you, the people of the Eastern Seaboard, because he promised you that on that night in the rain when you stood up with him. And today I can tell you, we would have delivered. Most of it not completed, but you can go out there and you can see the work. I took the media on that tour yesterday, and they were quite surprised at the amount of work that was going on in the Valencia to Toco area. They were quite surprised. And very soon, that Valencia, that Waterfield to Manzanilla highway will just appear in Guayco, because a lot of the work is going on behind the scene. And then we will start from Sangre Grande police station all the way going up to Mayaro. We would have done right here inside the Kumoto, Manzanilla and Toco Sangre Grande area, maybe over 75 roads over the last 2 or 3 years. A significant amount of infrastructure came in here. And we will continue to do that. But I must say, we were able to achieve most of these infrastructure, not only in the Eastern Seaboard. We can boast of projects in San Fernando. We have the highway to San Fernando. We have the highway in Maruga ongoing. We have upgrade works on the entire East-West corridor, where we are removing all the traffic lights. Kirep interchange, Diego Martin interchange started. We're going to remove the 3 lights, Macoya, Trin City, all the way to Peaco, starting later on this year. And we can boast of port in Maruga. We can boast of the breakwater in Tobago. Very soon the dry dock in La Brea. And the berthing facilities soon in Tobago, where we would have yachts and everything coming in Tobago. But how were we able to achieve all that? It's because at the ministry, we tried to break a culture that took over Trinidad between 2010 and 2015. And for those of you who felt today is a nice, good day, the weather, today was a very sad day in Trinidad and Tobago. Today was a very sad day in Trinidad and Tobago. Because today, there was a judgment in the court. And what that judgment said, basically, was the way and the direction Trinidad was heading between 2010 and 2015 could never have been good for the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. That direction could never have been the direction that the young people in this country would have had a future in. And it was under the leadership of Dr. Christopher Rowley that from 2015 we tried to transform this country and get it back on track. And I can say that we have achieved that. We have achieved that. At the Ministry of Works, we are not exactly where we want to be. As a matter of fact, we are probably a good distance from where we want to be. But we are actually heading in the right direction. Look at the license office. There have been about 18 people removed from the license office because it was a norm that if you want to cut the line, get the favors done, there were many people in the license office who was willing to facilitate you for a price. We decided that can't continue. It still exists. But whereas in the past, they would do it in the open, now they have to hide and do it. We looked at the procurement exercise in the ministry, and I can tell you, we put a lot of emphasis to ensure that everybody had a fair chance and that you, the citizens, got value for money. That is how we were able to achieve everything we were able to achieve with the reduction in the energy prices. we can boast of doing more than any other government in the last 5 years, with much less revenue, doing more with less. What is sad today is that, and I don't want to get into much of the case, but you look at most of these people who were part of that judgment today, and they existed long before 2010. And they never had those problems. They never found themselves in those problems. Why? What was the difference between before 2010 and after 2015? There was no UNC. You see, things happen because the atmosphere and the opportunities creates itself. And if there's a minister and a cabinet and a government who wants things to go in a certain direction, it will go in that direction. And unfortunately, a lot of people who would have survived under PNM government prior to 2010, doing business the right way, found themselves playing ball with the wrong people. And that is why I say today is a sad day. Today is a sad day when the international world could look at us and say, my God, if the government in office today had the kind of money that the last government had between 2010 and 2015, you could imagine what Trinidad would have looked like. We had a program to build an interchange. Finish one, in every cycle, start another one. Anything happened between 2010 and 2015? Nothing. Why? Because people were getting involved in the procurement. We lost 5 years. We were supposed to finish the San Fernando to Point Fortin Highway between 2010 and 2015 and start the Princess Tongue to Mayaro Highway and continue the highway from Wallerfield to Sangre Grande. Nothing happened except a massive contract for the San Fernando to Point Fortin ended up in Bacchanal, and the PNM had to come, bail out the country, start back the highway, recover your money, and start Valencia to Toko, Kumoto to Sangre Grande, and the Maruga. We have to make up time because nobody's going to wait for us to reach to that stage that we want to reach to be a developed nation. Only the PNM can do that. And I say, blame for 2010 to 2015, where this society had reached, where school children were saving up their money to buy their driver's license once they reached the age, where it was a norm to pay a bribe to get a favor in a government office, where the average, and I wouldn't say the average person, we are much better than that, but unfortunately the culture of corruption and bribery was accepted. I will put that to the feet of the leader of the UNC and the UNC cabinet between 2010 and 2015. They have took us back a long way. And you, the people of Toko Sangre Grande, will send that message to them on August the 10th, that we're not going back there. We're not going back there as a country. As a country, if you want your infrastructure to continue, as a nation, if we want that infrastructure to continue, because we are doing a lot of projects. I've spoken about that night after night. Every day you see us opening projects, getting projects done. Doing more with less, getting value for money for you. If you want that to continue, there's only one choice. That is the right choice. That is voting for the People's National Movement. Because this is not about infrastructure. This decision on August 10th is not about infrastructure. It's about keeping this country and bringing it back online. We went through a dark age between 2010 and 2015. Yes, there was plenty fanfare They will say they're opening this and they're building that, but at your expense. And today, unfortunately, the court told us we need to revisit what happened. It is sad because I know a lot of these people who were involved in that case, and they existed, as I said before, long before 2010. But the leadership in this country between 2010 and 2015 took this country in the wrong direction. And they're threatening to do it again. They're threatening to do it again. And I want to draw some references to the unit trust, that decision to go into the unit trust. We have to be concerned about that. You have to be concerned about that. I'll tell you why. If you understand how the unit trust operates, you'd realize that what they intend to do is to damage the unit trust. And I say so without fear of contradiction. If you understand the unit trust caters for the small man, yes, you have some big institutional investors, but the majority, 700,000 people, put their money in the unit trust. Not all, some of their money, their savings. The unit trusts do not have a pool of excess money lying in an account. Unit trusts invest in bonds and funds, and that is how they pay dividends to you. But sometimes they will sell the bond, the funds, the bonds, depending on how the market moves. And that money is there to go back into investments. The UNC is telling you they're going to take all the cash in the UNC and put it into infrastructure. Remember how they do the infrastructure, right? What's supposed to cost 1,000 costs 3,000. What's supposed to cost 220 million, like the Cape interchange, cost them close to 500 million. So in other words, you will be paying 3 times and 2 times the cost for infrastructure. They're going to take your unit trust money, put it into that. Where's the return going to come to pay you a dividend? Where's the interest going to come for when you retire and you want to live off your interest? Where's that going to come from? I was told today that there are some people who are thinking about taking the money from unit trust, holding it, and putting it back into the bank when the PNM win on Monday. No need for that. We are going to win the next election. We're going to form the next government. And we're not going to interfere with your money. You see, they did that to the NGC. Remember the NGC when they came in had $18 billion? All of a sudden, to lick up that $18 billion, NGC started to pave road. Could you imagine NGC, the National Gas Company, paving roads, building playgrounds? What they did is that they used the NGC to spend $18 billion. And what you had for it? Nothing. Most of these projects that the NGC did, they didn't get value for money. And most of them have already fallen apart. Let us not allow them to have the opportunity to damage our financial institutions. Because anytime you interfere with the financial institutions in a country, you virtually cripple that country. Anytime you take away confidence from the citizens in the financial sector in a country, you are doomed. And their policy is to interfere with the stable financial institutions in this country. We cannot allow them to do that. So this election, it's not about whether you're red or you're yellow, whether your family tell you have to vote UNC or your family tell you have to vote PNM. As citizens of this country, the choice is yours. I know there's only one choice. I know that we have to make the right choice. I know the right choice I am making. This is a vote for the survival of Trinidad and Tobago and for you, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. We cannot allow them to create a financial crisis for us. We cannot allow them to come back in here and rape this country, rape the treasury. And more important, we cannot allow them to come here and dismantle all the hard work that this government led by the Prime Minister, the Minister of Health, and the entire health department in this country have done for us to keep us safe from this world pandemic called COVID-19. Because clearly, first time I ever heard in my life a leader saying, I have a plan, but I'm not telling all you. I mean, could you imagine that? Could you imagine, you're going into an election, you want to win, you want to tell everybody nice, good things, but you're telling them, I have a plan, but I'm not telling all you. Clearly, something wrong. Again, let us not allow them to disrupt our financial institutions. Let us not allow them to come back and corrupt the society. This government have changed that course. And let us not allow them to come and disrupt a good system to protect us from the COVID-19. When I speak to the people of Sangre Grande, I feel like I'm speaking to my family, because we are all family in Toko Sangre Grande and Kumoto Manzalina. I want to urge you all tonight, last meeting that we are having, Toko Sangre Grande and Kumoto Manzalina, no leader have ever done so much for you like Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley. At no point in time in the past have we ever enjoyed so much of infrastructural development. The future for us is bright. Our time has reached. Let us not throw that away. Let us vote resoundingly for the People's National Movement. And on the 10th of August, we will all see, right here in Sangre Grande, I will be here with you in Sangre Grande on that night. We will all say, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, great is the PNM, and we all shall prevail. Thank you.
For the love of we country, we go vote to protect the treasury. Vote is only Dr. Rowley, the righteous for TMT. It's the choice PNM.
That's right, Trinidad and Tobago. No other political party and no other political leader has done as much for this northeastern region and the eastern seaboard than the People's National Movement. Let's hear it for our party. Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, we have been rallying safe and rallying home for the past several weeks. You have been locked on your televisions and online, listening on radio, and the very few of you gathered here have been very responsible in practicing social distancing and adhering to all sanitization processes. But the People's National Movement invites each and every one of you to join the Big Red Road Rally, which will be our grand campaign finale on Saturday, the 8th of August, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. throughout the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago. Please log into all of our social media platforms to get further details as to the meeting points within your various constituencies. Let them know we're red and we're ready and we will be making the right choice. So join us on Saturday the 8th and bear in mind that we will continue to ensure that strict social distancing and all sanitization protocols are observed. Are you with us in that? Are you going to be responsible people? Responsible for your health, responsible for people like Ms. Purcell, who have served us so well over the years. You know, there are different categories of people, but each and every one of us must be responsible for ourselves and for each other. And so, Toko Sangre Grande, Trinidad and Tobago, this is it. The countdown is on and we are 4 days away from the election. Well, to be exact, we are 87.5 hours away from the opening of the polls. And so, Trinidad and Tobago, you have 4 days, 87.5 hours, to choose whether you right here in Sangre Grande and you throughout the length and breadth of Trinidad and Tobago, to choose whether you are for sale or to choose whether your vote is worth 5 years of nightmares. You have 4 days to decide if you want a dome or if you want scientific solutions. Trinidad and Tobago, never before has your vote been so valuable as it is on August the 10th. Never before has Mother Trinidad and Tobago needed you to protect her as it does on Monday. Never before has our country needed to stay the course as it does on the 10th of August. Never before has the party posturing as an alternative government offended the senses, sensitivities, and sensibilities of the entire national population as it has done over the past few weeks. Never before has this country needed to place its trust in a leader who has proven time and time again that he is reliable, that he is brave, that he is responsible, and that he is the only leader that we can trust here in Trinidad and Tobago. Never before has this country needed the People's National Movement. Never before have we needed this man, Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley. And so, it is a signal honor for me to present tonight's feature speaker, the man who has pulled us out of the economic hole from 2010 to 2015, the man who acts in the interest of every single citizen of our republic, regardless of creed, color, race, or social standing, the man who has kept all of us safe during the perils of this pandemic. The PNM's candidate for the 9th time in the constituency of Diego Martin West, our political leader of the PNM, and the Prime Minister who will take his second oath of office next week, Tuesday, with your support. Toko Sangre, Grande, Trinidad and Tobago, please welcome Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley.
Manzanilla, PNM, PNM, PNM. A very good night and thank you to our chair lady, Mrs. Laurel Lizama Leasing, who has been doing an exceptional job chairing the proceedings. Look about. Trained by the PNM, grew up in the PNM, and ready for service in the PNM and delivering that service with aplomb. And of course, you all met Short Man tonight, right? Sangre Grande, you're holding the best, right? Right, you held them and now you let them loose. Let it loose. Raja and Ronnie. And both men are the best available to the people of Trinidad and Tobago for the 2 eastern constituencies. Mr. Ronnie Lochan, his name is synonymous with PNM service in this part of the country. And he is carrying the flag that his family carried for many decades. And tonight, but I've got a good feeling about Komuto Manzanilla in 2020. Mr. Ronnie Lochan for Komuto Manzanilla. Long family tradition of service to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, particularly here in the Komuto Manzanilla area. And of course, raised, bred, trained, prepared, presented here in Sangre Grande. He fought his way through to this position. You sent in a lot of people to be considered for screening. This is one of the more exercising screening that we've had because Sangre Grande sent us so many choices. And tonight I want to acknowledge my former parliamentary colleague. Again, coming out of a tradition of service. Her mother was a councillor for a long time. She served, and now she's giving way to Roger Monroe. And recognize Mrs. Jennings Smith. So come Monday, the names will change, but the commitment and the party will remain PNM, 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 and Roger Monroe will step into that responsibility. Roger Monroe for Toko Sangre Grande. And I want to acknowledge my former parliamentary and cabinet colleague coming out of Arima, Her Excellency Penelope Beckles for Arima. Very experienced, always stable, always steady, and has been in public service for as long as I can remember. PNM again. And of course, leading the group here in the East and running our national campaign, not for the first time. Another Sangre Grande product. A man who said Sangre Grande is still the best place after Tobago. And I agree with him. Because Tobago is very close to Sangre Grande. So I think it's all one community, Tobago and Sangre Grande. What's 27 miles of ocean? So acknowledge our campaign manager, your very own, Senator Rohan Sinanan, Minister of Works and Transport of Trinidad and Tobago. He joined the cabinet and hit the ground running and hasn't stopped since. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight is the last of these meetings that we have had. I can tell you, if I must admit it, I'm a little bit tired, but it has been quite a journey. And we've come out here every night because you know how we used to do it before when things were normal, but these are not normal times. We have to adapt our campaign to meet the population because we wanted to ensure what has been going on, what is going on, and what is to go on in the portfolio that they've held. We've had discourses from the Minister of Agriculture, from the Minister of Finance, from the Attorney General, from the Minister of Works, and every night as head of the team, as Prime Minister, I commit to you this team. This is the best team in 2020 going forward. And the reason why we are doing this is not because we can fill this hall 4 times as we normally would do. As you know, in Sangre Grande, when we come here, we fill this place out into the streets. But tonight, we're sitting here, a couple dozen of us in this room spaced out, with the masks over our faces, attempting to preserve our health and our very lives, because we are campaigning in 2020 when an election is due during a pandemic, something that hasn't happened in the world since 1918. But fortunately, we are in a much better position today than they were in 1918 because we understand what was killing them then and why they were killing themselves. It's a virus that is amongst the population of human beings, and we have to ensure that the virus doesn't jump from one person to another. The virus can't walk around. If you leave it on a surface and somebody else touches it, then there's a chance of it moving. If you have it and you touch your face, from your hand you put it into your own body. These are the simplicities. But the consequences can be grievous if you don't understand or don't do these simple things. And that's why I'm so pleased to see this disciplined PNM would have gone through an election campaign doing what the doctors say we should do. And largely, not 100%, largely being very disciplined, wearing our masks, keeping our distances, and ensuring that we stay sanitized, clean, and healthy. That's what is required. Your government has had to intervene to do governmental things, things that we had not planned for, but were required to be done. It's like you're a parent. You plan, you keep a little savings in the bank, you spend some on food, you spend a little on holiday, and you're comfortable. And then somebody falls out of a mango tree and breaks a hand or breaks a back, or somebody gets ill. All the planning gone out through the window. You have to spend whatever money you have on the child or on the uncle or whoever it is because you didn't plan for that. But it has come to you and you have to respond. That's what COVID has done to us. But let's go back a little bit. The meeting I remember most in 2015 was that night in the rain here in Sangre Grande. When we came out there in our thousands and I stood before you as the opposition leader and I said to you that it doesn't matter what the situation is in the country going forward, but with respect to development, it is my view and the view of the PNM that I lead that a child born in Sangre Grande would have the same opportunity as one born in St. James or in Scarborough or in San Fernando. And we are not going to allow, because of where you're born or where you're growing up, that you are denied the opportunity to develop to your fullest potential. And therefore, since you didn't have certain infrastructural developments in Sangre Grande and the eastern seaboard of the country, under my government, we will bring it to you and bring you into the country's mainstream. We will bring you into the country's mainstream. And anywhere in the world you go, if there is a population that is separated from the mainstream, you have to bring them either waterways, riverways, or seaways, or roads. Roads in particular link people. If there are no proper road connections between communities, then you cannot interact in the way you could, and one end would develop more than the other, and you will be, where they say, behind God back. And I said that Sangre Grande would never be behind God back if the PNM has another chance in government as we have now. But it was a time of reducing revenues. We were here having that meeting. You stood in the rain and listened to me, and I told you, give me the opportunity to control the cabinet and the government's decisions. Send me the candidate from Sangre Grande. Give us enough seats to form the government, and I will ensure that you're not left behind. And Sangre Grande, you gave us an overwhelming victory and put Sangre Grande in the column of the PNM and in government. And in keeping with that commitment I made to all the people of Sangre Grande, especially the young people and the children who want a future in this country, we immediately embarked upon improving the road network that was lying on a desk somewhere in the Ministry of Works with some humongous amount of cost attached to it. That highway we're building there now, you know what the price of it was supposed to be? It's supposed to be over $1 billion, $1.2 billion. That was the price that was being attached to that work. $1.2 billion. 1.8, I'm corrected by the Minister of Works, $1.8 billion. And it was a foreign contractor that was in line to get it, because local contractors could not fund a project of that size. We went out to tender. One of the first things this government did was to determine that the highway will be built as I promised you. We went out to tender, and what was the tender price? 400. Yeah, from 120 million per kilometer to 80 million per kilometer. From $40 million per kilometer less, you know. But we committed to build it. There were those in comfortable areas in the country, those who were leaving you behind, because, you know, the mathematics will show you that a race that is going on between a fast horse and a donkey, the longer the race goes on, the further apart they get. Those who were leaving you further and further behind were objecting to the fact that the government was going to build a highway to Sangre Grande. And I tell them to put that where the monkey put the nuts, because Sangre Grande people voted for the PNM and told the PNM to build that road to Sangre Grande, and that highway will be built. So we got a contract price $40 million cheaper per kilometer. They took us to court. We had to go to court all the way to the Privy Council to get permission to build that road for you. But the PNM gave you a commitment, and if we had to go to Antarctica, we would have gone, because we gave you a commitment and we intended to keep our promise to you. After 1 year, an additional millions wasted fighting dotishness in the courthouse, the court ruled that the government could proceed, because it was the only piece of road that we know of in this time that had all the approvals. So there was no complaint that could have been reasonably defended in the court. And they lost the case, but we lost a year. Otherwise, you would have been driving on your highway now. COVID would have met the highway finished. We had a beautiful dry season, but we couldn't do any work, because comfortable people. The man who took that matter to court with the opposition backing and all those who were opposed to you, you know why he was taking your business to court? Because he didn't want the highway to pass through there, because Gutierrez passed there. You know, up in Glencoe, he was offering prime forest land for sale in his private capacity. Unbeknownst to the people of Glencoe, he was selling land up there for development housing, but up here, coming up here and going to Toko and telling them they don't want no port and they don't need no road, as if you so dotish, you know? You know, in Jamaica they say, have you, they still want you, no get. Eh? They have it, but telling you what you should not get. The PNM said you must get it and you will get it and you are getting it. So after 1 year of delay, the highway is being built, and unfortunately, COVID comes again, and just when we thought we had the back of it broken and you were just about to complete, we had to withdraw for the last 4 or 5 months. But it is going to be completed, and it is going to be completed under PNM government, because come Tuesday morning, you would have put back into office a PNM government. I've had the experience of interacting with the medical fraternity here in Sangre Grande, either at the level of the cabinet, giving them the resources, appointing the board and so on, or coming into the hospital itself, because I had family members who were in that hospital getting hospice care. And I saw the doctors and nurses at work inside there, and I'm asking myself, how could this be that in a country that was spending $63 billion a year, and for 5 years, the 5 largest budgets, and nobody could pay attention to the building of a hospital for the people of this part of the country? And I said to you in that rain that night that if you give me the opportunity to run this country, you will get your hospital. Sangre Grande, your hospital is under construction. And the only thing that links Toko, Montevideo, and Matlot to the rest of the country by way of Sangre Grande is a road. From Valencia Junction to Toko, the only thing that links you there is a road. And you know, we undertook to build that road. And somehow that is a problem for some people. And look at when we're doing it. When we came into office, we came in on September 9th. The national budget had to be completed and passed in the parliament by October 31st. So we had to prepare a budget, pass it, and get going. We did that. But that budget was not largely our doing. It was the work that was done by the public servants before the elections, which we had to just very quickly put in place. So we passed the budget. And immediately upon passing the budget, we realized the budget could not be funded. There was not enough money to fund the budget as passed in the parliament. I'm sure you all forgot what we did. I'm sure you forgot, because all of us forget so fast. After we passed the budget, we had to give instructions in the public service to cut the allocation by 7% across the board, because there was not enough money to pay that. You all forgot that? Immediately there were those who got up and said, oh, they give it for you. We did not have the money to service the budget as fast. So in the first year of this government, we had to cut the allocation by 7% across the board. And we gave the instructions not at the expense of the recurrent expenditure, meaning the jobs. Because we know if we send people home from the jobs they have, many of them would for quite some time not know where to get the next pay packet from, and children would not know where the next meal would be coming from. So all of us together will take a hit on it to ensure that all of us have something to eat and have an opportunity to keep. That was our primary responsibility. And at that time, I also told you that there is medicine to be taken. Not all tasty, some of it quite bitter. But we will prescribe our own medicine, and we will not go to the IMF for any relief, because that would be a situation far worse than the one that we can prescribe for ourselves. Today I can report to you here in Sangre Grande at the end of this campaign that we have managed this country's affairs in such a way that for the last 5 years we steered this country away from the lender of last resort in a very difficult period. But interestingly enough, it is during that kind of scenario, that kind of situation, that is when Sangre Grande is getting a hospital. When money was awash in this country, you didn't get it. It is that time that Sangre Grande is getting that highway to bring you in comfort and in safety to your community and linking you to the rest of the national economy. It is that time that you got your license in office. And it's that time when, like everybody else in the country, whatever else the country had to offer in terms of the social service and the social safety net, that Sangre Grande was getting its fair share. And you have to ask yourself, how come this didn't happen before? How come? Priority. Money was being spent, but you were not a priority. You were never a priority. And that is why, if they need your vote on Monday, they have to try and buy out every fridge in town, every stove in town, every TV in town, and try and come and bribe you to vote for them because they cannot come on their record of service to you. We come on service to you, and we know that your vote will be cast for a party and a government and a candidate that puts service before bribery and before corrupt practice. If there's anywhere in this country where the UNC should not get a single vote, it is Sangre Grande. Because when the country had money, they turned their backs on you. If you hear how they spent money when you didn't have a road and didn't have a hospital. I just told, it was a couple of nights ago, I was talking about helicopters. $35 million for a helicopter somebody brought in here under a deal that couldn't fly. $35 billion. Another helicopter in America never came to Trinidad, but the country facing a legal claim that we can't defend for over $100 million. The AG spent about a year and a half trying to negotiate until we end up settling it for millions of dollars. We had $16 billion in the NGC where you are a part owner because every man, woman, and child is a shareholder in the National Gas Company. There was $16 billion in their account, in their savings account. When the USC came into office, they spent every cent. You didn't get a hospital then. You didn't get a road then. Nobody was promising a road to Toko and a port to Toko because as far as they're concerned, you're all out in the bush, and who in the bush? Stay in the bush with the animals out there. While they tip it out in town. And coming to tell you now about they have UNC candidates who can identify themselves wherever they are. But I tell you, politics is about interests. And if you don't elect people who look out for your interests, then what you get, you take. You were never part of the equation. So tonight, all I can say to Sangre Grande, the work is ongoing. The work is ongoing. In the city of Port of Spain, in 2010, those of you who are paying attention to the news in 2010 would have seen a piece of the roof of President House collapsed. This is not in Sangre Grande. This is in the city of Port of Spain, our capital city. Because wherever we are in this country, we are proud of our capital city. It represents us in the best form. The roof of the President House collapsed. I'm not talking about any school or community center. I'm talking about President House. Those people in the UNC spent the 5 largest budgets in the history of this country. And you know, when they leave office in 2015, the collapsed roof was same place where they met it. That collapse took place during the election campaign. And after 5 years of splurge and spend, teeth to no end, they left it just so. Within a matter of a short period of time, in a difficult situation with money being scarce, and for a fraction of the cost that they were doing it for, if they had ever attempted to do it, by doing it honestly, through competitive tendering, we were able, this government was able to complete the repairs of President House. And today, every citizen could pass President House, look at it, or if you're fortunate to be having to go there for whatever reason, to be proud that that is the place of residence of the President of our Republic. Symbolically, it represents a restoration of pride in our people and our nation. Symbolically it is. And it wasn't just the President's house, it was the Parliament. For years, our Parliament is probably one of the biggest buildings in the country. It must have been, because it's a whole block, it's a whole city block, right? A street on all sides, east, west, north, and south, and the middle is the Parliament. A very large building. For years, that building was under construction, reconstruction. And they spend money on it, they spend money on it, they spend money. They do all kind of thing on it, including giving the roof to a man who never fix a foul cube roof. And his address is like pole number 19, Ohio, Kunupe, or something like that. And when we came into office, we met them about awarding a contract for $800 something million to finish that work whenever it was going to be finished. We took it over and we broke up the contract into 17 pieces and tendered every single one and put different contractors in and managed by UDCOT. Our Parliament has been completed and is now in use. And once again, national pride returns to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Our Parliament is home. You think anybody who abandoned the President's house, abandoned the Parliament, would come and fix for you here in Sangre Grande the old post office so that it can be a sense of pride to the people of Sangre Grande? Only the PNM will do that, and the PNM will do it, and the PNM will do it, and you will have that old post office restored as a symbol of the resurgence of Sangre Grande. And Sangre Grande, you used to be the agricultural market town of the East. They interfered with the cocoa industry, close off the cocoa board, create something up to now. I'm not even sure what they have created, I must admit. But the end result of that is I see farmers, the few farmers we have in cocoa left, complaining that they can't sell their cocoa, while cocoa is required and in short supply, our high value cocoa. Well, let me tell you what we can be doing about cocoa in this part of Sangre Grande. We're going back to production of cocoa. Cocoa is a crop that those who had planted cocoa before at the small farmer level carried the crop on their shoulder for a while, because it takes a few years for cocoa trees to be planted, to grow, and to begin to fruit. It takes a few years. What happens to a farmer who decides, I keep hearing about cocoa is a good thing to produce. Let's take a young man here in Sangre Grande, or for that matter, a young woman here in Sangre Grande. I keep hearing that cocoa production is a good thing. But where do I start if I go out there, even if I have a piece of family land or get a piece of state land, and I go there and start to plant cocoa plants if they are available, and then they have to be protected and they have to grow? What sustains me as an individual during that period of 4 to 5 years when I am doing this husbandry for this crop, waiting for the first fruits? How am I sustained? The answer is you won't be. So the most you can do is think about doing it, and it would never be done. Well, we, in this government, now that we finished our first term, in our second term, we have already identified parcels of lands in this part of the country which the government will intervene to help and to sustain those who want to farm, and will identify you. We will put you on land. We will sustain you as long as you are in fact growing that crop, because we know 5 years down the road, those that you grow will fruit, and then we will have pods of cocoa to pick and cocoa beans to sell. Otherwise, it will never happen. It will just be old talk. We're spending money on other things which are less important, and a few years later that money disappears as if it was never spent. But if we spend some of that money on preparing land, in putting you in a housing program which has just won an international award, and it's an aided self-help program that we have done in Moruga. It's no mansion, it's a decent little family house. And those little family homesteads, the government will stand with you here in the eastern counties and put some of them down. If we take one young man or one young woman or 20 of them or 200 of them, we will be increasing national production in an area where the production is needed, and we do something positive. Coming out of the COVID experience, one of the things that we have done is to create a roadmap to direct us as to what direction we need to go in. We looked at all our circumstances in the threat of COVID, and we've created that roadmap. In that roadmap, one of the recommendations which this government has accepted is that the budget that we are going to put in place next month, that budget will contain an additional $500 million for agricultural initiatives. And one of them, I hear our opponents saying that we have $700 million in the last budget for agriculture, and now we're offering $500 million, so the PNM intend to reduce the expenditure on agriculture. It's not because they don't understand it, it's because they make a career of lying to you. There is a $700 million for what is going on right now. The Roadmap Committee looked at what we need to do in addition to what is going on now and said to us, let us spend an additional $500 million. So 700 plus 500 is 1.2 billion. That's what we're doing. And that 500 is going to be spent on support in a variety of ways. One of those ways is to find suitable agricultural land here in the eastern part of the country where the soil is good, where the condition is good. Identify those lands for cocoa production, for restoration where there's restoration to be done. But more than that, we will have training programs for specific people who want to farm in cocoa. Because farming is not something you tell somebody to go and do, or you send them to go and do it. Farmers have to want to be farmers. And it requires patience, because plants have to grow, animals have to be sustained. Patience is the lifeblood of farming. That's why it's called husbandry. You have to take care of what you're looking after. You put a seed in the ground and walk away. You have to tend it when it germinates. You have to protect it. And when it grows, sometimes it takes a long time, depending on the crop. Sometimes it goes faster. But cocoa is a crop that we need to have more acreage in the country. And one of the things we are committing to with government support is a greater acreage of cocoa. But of course, we can't plant cocoa without cocoa plants. We have to ensure that there's planting material available. We will ensure in the first year or two that we put some of that money in the initiative to increase the amount of cocoa plants that's available. One of the first things this government did was to create, as I promised in Moruga that night, that if we go into office, we'll do something that was never done before, which is to establish a Ministry of Rural Development. Today in this country, there's a Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, because we always knew that the next initiative in this country in bringing people into the mainstream of our economy is to bring the rural people into the economy of Trinidad and Tobago. And if I had all the time tonight, I could have listed for you all the things that have been done under the Ministry of Rural Development. Only a few weeks ago, we opened in Moruga, doing for the people of Moruga what I'm talking about doing for you here. You are the northeastern corner, they are down the south coast. Both of you experiencing the same thing, being left behind, but you have resources that are underutilized. We ended up assessing the situation. Even in this difficult period of financial challenge, we built in Moruga a $90 million agro-processing plant that will be the center of agricultural expansion and agricultural production in the whole of the South Coast, from Princeton all the way down to Laloud. That's what we have done. Not promising, we've done it, and done it during this period when money is scarce. That wasn't done when money was available and there were others in office lining their pocket. Today, the judge ruled, and for once, the taxpayer got a break in this country. Up until today, whenever we speak about the way they misspent your money, created avenues to thief it and all kinds of things, I need not go into the details anymore because you know it, you've heard it before. But they went to the court, and tell the court that the state's attempt to prosecute them must go the way of the airport inquiry, where it matters not what the evidence says. To hell with the evidence, throw out the case. And the judge was adjudicating on their request. Last week, they wrote the judge and tell the judge, don't give us the judgment before election. Now, I never know courthouse decisions had to be done in the context of who washing clothes outside and who going in taxi to town. I didn't know that. That precedent, if it was set, you know what it would have meant? If you are sufficiently bold-faced, you could have gone to court. Let's take any case, let's take a divorce case. So you could have gone to court in a divorce case, and there's a family home. And divorce is usually, let's say a divorce where the wife is pressing for her separation and all they have in the family is a house. And the judge heard all the evidence and the complaints and so on, and he is to rule on what is to happen with the house as part of the decision to be had. But then somehow the husband could tell the judge, hold that decision, don't give me yet, don't give us that decision yet. My intention is to sell the house. After I sell the house, you could rule. And of course he sells the house and dispenses with the money. And then the judge rule. What are your assets? You have nothing. You have no house. Because the house was sold. Because he needed time to sell the house. I'm just giving you an example of how ridiculous that development could be as a precedent in our jurisprudence. So they go and tell you the judge. But of course the judge didn't listen. Because we were not listening either. Because before, all of you would have heard them saying, the PNM only saying, talking about corruption, but nothing happening. They can't find nobody to prosecute. You know why they were saying that? The names were in the documents as read out today in the courthouse, where prosecution was going on in the courthouse. And while that is going on, those people watching us in our faces and know that we know, because we are the executive, we know what EMBD is telling us and what EMBD has done. The Minister of Finance had to fund the legal fees for EMBD because EMBD has no revenue of any consequence. Lawyers are expensive. But they never believed that a government in this country would have gone after white-collar crime. So they were saying to you, hoping that it turns out that way, that nothing happening. But you would have heard me say, fear not. The wheels of justice turn slowly, but they do turn. So they turned a little bit because the judge threw out the case and said, you have a case to answer. You have cases to answer. We don't know who is guilty or otherwise because you are innocent until proven guilty, but you have a case to answer. Up to now, the airport conspirators, those who involved in the airport scandal, have not been able to answer their cases. They have been made not to answer that matter. The Americans who were with them in that airport scandal have answered in the American courts, have gone to jail, they have come out, they have been waiting for the Trinidadians to be tried. They have never been brought before the court to answer. They've been playing in the court. And that letter to the judge to hold back the decision is an affront to our effort to get justice for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Today, justice has begun to be served. The judge said, you have a case to answer. It is for the state's agency to make the case. And the judge today would have outlined to you for the first time what is before the court. But what amazes me is that people that you hire to work for you could watch you in your face, knowing that that is going on, and talking about their unblemished record. My unblemished record. Unblemished record. Go tell that to the judge. But I tell you this so you could understand that your money could be spent in a variety of ways. It could be spent on you, for you, or it could be spent about you. It could be spent to no benefit for you. It's your money. What has happened in the last 5 years is that the money we borrowed and spent been spent on you, for you. The money we collected from government revenues that came in has been spent on you, for you. And I am pleased to tell you here in Sangre Grande tonight that I've taken my government through 5 years of difficulty, 5 years of all kinds of situations that were challenging. But I have lost not a single minister to public opinion or private action or police action for dishonesty during the time that I was Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Not one. And you have to pay attention to that, because it is now becoming a habit that people begin to believe that once you get office, it is about you and for you. When you send Roger as a PNM MP to the Parliament, it's not about him. He's there to serve you. And as long as I or the PNM have anything to do with it, that you can put to the bank. And when you send Ronnie Lochan to the Parliament, it's not about him. He's a servant of the people. That is our approach to public service. And that is a big difference to those who believe that once they get office, they have been anointed to millionaire and billionaire status. We are quite happy to sleep confidently knowing that if we see any blue light coming up our street, is the police taking a shortcut or they're coming to make a all fours line? That's what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, as we talk about our young people, we have to train them. Because if we don't train them, others will. And what used to be passing for training has fallen away. There are too many people, especially young people, who really don't know where the next day should be spent, far less the next year. Many of them don't know what a day's work is, or what is meant by waking up in the morning, getting dressed, getting a taxi or the bus, going someplace, working there, and waiting for a fortnight end or the end of the month to be paid. They don't know that. They are not prepared to take part in that, some of them. There are too many of our young people who believe that life, the hardest thing they could do in life is to turn a motor car steering wheel or mash the X. And worse, there are others who believe that the hardest thing to do is to hold a gun and pull a trigger and make a good living doing that. We have to go back to basics. And that is why one of the things that we will do in this area, in combination between La Joqueta and Sangre Grande and Valencia, is to build in this area a major youth camp for youth development. And in that youth camp would be young people being trained out here where there's land to be farmed, in agriculture, and other aspects of training that will benefit the national community. We will make that investment. And the same way we told you we'll build a highway, and we're building it. We told you we'll build a hospital, and we're building it. I tell you tonight, we're going to build that major youth camp for our youth from all the way from Marima, all the way to Sangre and Toko, and you could take that to the bank once you vote right on Monday. Because things don't happen by accident. They don't happen by accident. My opponent, who was a former prime minister, wouldn't go to work when the day come. Never goes to work in the morning. One of our ministers, who is now the commissioner of police, told the country she takes 5-day weekends. You don't want a prime minister under this situation taking 5-day weekends. I go to bed at night at 2 o'clock in the morning, and 2 days a week I get up at 5 o'clock after that. Because I work night and day. A lot of what I would like to be doing now in relaxation, I can't do if you let me. But the bottom line is, you need focused and committed people. If ever you needed a serious government in office, now is the time. Could you imagine this election is taking place in the middle of a pandemic? In the United States alone, About 150,000 people have died. Some of them are our own people. I know a family in Trinidad and Tobago where a mother and a sister passed in that. Mother died, sister died. And they couldn't even go to the funeral because the world is locked down. You can't get a ticket or a plane to take you to America. Your mother died, your sister died, you can't go to the funeral. That's going on right now. The closest part of America to us is Florida. Florida is the hardest hit part now at this point in time in America. America has about 5 million people who are already infected, and that is only those who have been tested and proven to be positive. It's not talking about the other tens of millions who have not been tested and found to be carrying it. We have had to close our borders to the United States. How many of you have ever envisioned that that could happen? But we have had here in Trinidad and Tobago to leave our jobs, leave our schools, leave our factories and go home and stay home because there was a virus that threatens our lives. We have had to close our schools. Our children have not been to school since February. We tried to bring back only a small portion of them, 19,000 of them. We had to take them back out fast because the virus is still threatening them. And while that is the case, people who want office and who believe that nothing that goes on in this country they could support, nothing. I ask you tonight, you tell me one thing that could or is going on in this country that the UNC doesn't oppose. Tell me. Anybody who know one thing that's going on in this country for the benefit of the people of Trinidad and Tobago that the UNC support, put up your hand and tell me. And we are in the middle of a pandemic where if it gets away from us, we may have to go into lockdown again. If it gets away from us, we are working very hard to prevent that from happening. But if it comes to pass that we got to a situation where the only response that we know that works is to withdraw, what do we do? And you want to tell me, the people who tell you that the way they're going to manage this exercise, first thing was a state of emergency. That sounds serious, eh? That sounds, man, in charge. What does a state of emergency do? All it does is strip you of your rights under the Constitution and give more power to the police. That's all it does. Sometimes you need that. But to fight a virus, what do you need that for? Especially when the response is largely something for you to do. You want police to get more power to wash your face, to wash your hand? You want to give police more power to tell you to wear a mask? You want to give police more power to tell you that you mustn't hug up anybody? No, come on. We don't shake hands anymore because we've discovered that in shaking hands, the virus could be taken from one person to another. So you don't shake hands. Use the elbow bounce. Don't go out and congregate, because if you congregate and stay too close to a person who is infected, and sometimes the most dangerous person is the most healthy looking person who is carrying the virus isn't making them sick, but they are spreading the virus invisibly. Don't close the border. Don't close the border. People want to come home to vote. To vote. Yeah. You know, Sparrow call it so-called wanted dead or alive. Right? Like them. Come home to vote. Come home to vote. As if that is the most important thing. The most important thing is to stay alive. The most important thing is to stay alive. And of course, there is no cure for COVID-19. No cure. Except in Trinidad. Expose you to the rampaging virus and then tell you, because they're drinking puncheon and lime good for you. Them live on punch and rum, right? But it's not a cure for COVID. And a drug that has been discredited in the United States by the Center for Disease Control. The drug was highlighted by the WHO saying, don't use it. But in Trinidad and Tobago, our opponents are telling you, use hydroxychloroquine because some president says so. You think on the 11th of August, you put them in office, that they will step up to make the decisions to protect your lives and your family's life and this country's livelihood? You think so? So when we say close the bars, shut all the bars down and go out of bars for a while, they were the opponents to that. They opposed the government's decision to shut bars. We know when we shut bars down that thousands of persons will lose jobs, but we had to do that to keep you alive. Otherwise, this country would have had its COVID crisis a long, long time ago. But when you are in government, you can't play with important decisions because the consequences could be grave, and you have to be able to face the consequences. I've told my colleagues in the cabinet, you are in office. My grandfather always taught me, before he gave me a good licking, when you're in charge, if it's for one day, be in charge. Otherwise, you'd let the whole country down. And you do what is right for the people. Do what is right by the people and be prepared to stand the consequences. And come Monday, the government that I have led and the people I brought in as candidates on this occasion, we are prepared to stand the consequences as determined by you. And the consequences are about looking after your health in this world where we rank #1 for preparing to fight this virus. I heard one of the fool ads saying to you that you should vote for them because the government did say that they have no COVID and now you're having COVID cases in the country. The government lied to you. They spent the whole career trying to make me a liar and they have failed miserably. I never told you COVID wouldn't come here. If we didn't expect COVID to come and be among us, why did we build a parallel health system? Why did we keep hundreds of hospital spaces and quarantine spaces available? It is because we expect that it is quite likely, possible, and even to be expected any time that we could end up in a situation where the virus is amongst us. What we said to you, that the best response and the only response is to be able to treat with and deal with the cases coming to us and never have it overcome our health system. As long as it does not overcome the health system of the country, then we are in a good place and a good position. It is where the numbers have overcome the health system that you now have a crisis on your hands. And what they were asking us to do was to open the borders, increase the numbers of inflow from very heavily infected areas. And that would have guaranteed us a situation where the migrants coming in would have given us the best chance to have infections overcome our health system. That is the advice we are getting from them. So the big ad is that the Prime Minister lied to you because we have COVID infections starting up again. All over the world, they tell you, when you open up, I told you here in the country, it was more difficult and I was even more nervous authorizing the reopening than I was in shutting the country down. Because I always knew, from what little we knew of the virus, that after you begin to open up the economy, you're taking a gamble with the risk that you are taking. Some countries with far more resources than we have, they've opened up and have to shut back down immediately. Some thought that they had beaten it and could open and stay. When the numbers start to grow, they have to shut down. But in Trinidad and Tobago, you have a full opposition telling you the Prime Minister bring the virus and he lied to you. I can't take it when they insult your intelligence like that, and you must take note. You must take note. We imagine we have lived, if we've done nothing in this country of great value to the people in Trinidad and Tobago, we as a multiracial, multi-ethnic, multi-religious country, we pride ourselves in all of us living in this little space and living together in harmony. But an election comes around and the UNC has to put ads on the radio and television or wherever they put them. Have you all seen those ads from the UNC? Using black people in the most disgusting and disgraceful way. But I will tell you something, don't be surprised. I first noticed Kamla Prasad Bisesa and her racial position when there was a by-election in Chaguanas West. Chaguanas West is the strongest UNC seat in the country, but there was a by-election there. And the PNM, we pride ourselves, not in winning every election and every seat, but in ensuring that in every election, in every seat, anywhere in this country, there's always a PNM candidate. So when that by-election came up in Chaguanas West, when Jacona resigned and came back to fight the seat as the ILP, the PNM had to turn up and take part in the election. we had this bright young man, a fellow called Avinash Singh, as our candidate. Avinash Singh is a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago. He just happened to be of East Indian ancestry, and he lives over there in Chaguanas West, and he chose the PNM under our constitution. He was free to associate with any political party that he wanted to. Kamla Prasad Bisesa was prime minister at the time. You know what her reaction to that was? She went down there in Chaguanas and telling the people of Chaguanas in a seat that she didn't have to go to win, because it was a foregone conclusion that they would have won it. She went down there, and her big issue was that the PNM has taken one of our own as their candidate. Who is the one of our own? And that was the first time I observed that she is having a propensity to use race in her politics. We took issue with that, and then later on, she's a opposition leader. Somebody talk about they are 1% of the country and they're doing so well as 1% and label themselves 1%ers. They haven't been expelled from the group yet, but I understand what they intend to be. But the bottom line is, here is the leader of the opposition, former prime minister, latch on to this 1% story, which everybody knows refers to the Syrian and Lebanese community, and beating it like a drum every day. And then she labels the prime minister as an Oreo, meaning I black outside and a white inside. Right? This is the conversation of the prime minister of Trinidad and Tobago. Prime minister what back to be prime minister again. So she intended all along to use race, dog whistle, and racial epithets as part of her political armory. So today, she reached now to be humiliating black people in this country by picking up destitute-looking black people and portraying them in the worst possible way in a political advertisement. Tonight, I want to say to Ms. Kamla Prasad Bisesa and the UNC, I'm a proud black man in this country, and you have offended me. And you have insulted all black people in this country by that caricature in your advertisement. And I know where that came from, you know. That came from the same place when the country had a crime problem and people were killed in Arima. And instead of the government buckling down and confronting the criminals, you know what they did? Well, crime and criminality is black people behavior, and they'll go and pick up 8,000 of them and jail them without evidence. That is where that advertisement came from. That is how they see us. That's what they think about us, and we reject it. And if you want to lead this country, you must apologize for that caricature that you've put there in your advertisement. It's not only black people in this country that can produce a hungry little child. It's not only black people in this country that are at the mercy of others. And Kamla Prasad Bisesa and your UNC friends, I know what the yellow bananas mean. It's monkey illustrated banana. All over the world, footballers walk off the field when they start to make monkey chants. But in the UNC advertisement, that people hungry in Trinidad and Tobago, and you feed the monkeys banana. You could go to hell with that. We are better than that in Trinidad and Tobago. This is a country. If the PNM has one legacy that we're going to defend to their death, is that we have encouraged interracial solidarity in this country, and we will not allow Kamla Prasad Bisesa and her minions to threaten it, because we are better together and stronger in diversity. I demand that those ads be removed. Sangre Grande, take up your bed and walk with the PNM. Your prosperity lies in a PNM victory. I thank you for your support in 2015. We never wavered our gaze from the commitment we made to you. And now more than ever, I'm more committed to you, the people of Sangre Grande. A young girl born in Sangre Grande, a young boy born in Sangre Grande, going to school in Sangre Grande, an unemployed man or woman in Sangre Grande. You must know that if the PNM is in office, you have hope, and we all have boundless faith in our destiny. I thank you for your support. I thank all of you. As I close the PNM campaign tonight, I thank all the people of Trinidad and Tobago for the opportunity that you have given me to run the country's affairs for the 5 years. I thank you for the support you've given me in those difficult times, because they were always difficult, but I always knew that if I did what was right as I intended to do, that I have your support. And if it did not initially appear to be the best thing, as the days and weeks and months go by, you realize that what the PNM was doing under my leadership was best for the country. As we go to the end of this campaign, I would be honored to be offered an opportunity to continue to serve you. And we give you service as only the PNM can. Come out and vote. The election is important. Monday is election day. Come out and vote for Ronnie Lochan in Komuto Manzanilla. Come out and vote for Penny Beckles in Arima. Come out and vote for Roger Monroe all the way up to Matlot from Sangre, Grande and Valencia. And I did not present the candidate for Diego Martin West. Come out in Diego Martin West and vote for yours truly. And everywhere there's a polling booth, you will see a PNM candidate there, and the symbol is the Balize. And this is the PNM of 1956. We built this country, and we will build Toko, Sangre Grande, Komuto, and Manzanilla, and the rest of the country. We're not leaving anybody behind. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your support. On Monday night, I want to hear a shout from Sangre Grande early in the proceedings. Early in the proceedings, I want to hear that shout from Sangre Grande. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM, and we shall prevail.
Hey, 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 hey. Say all will be fine. Look, we made the right choice every time. Still a job to be done and a race to be won, and we know we will win every time. Just give the faith, hands up high. We're together in this, you and I. Yes, the job will be done and the race will be won, and we know we will win every time. And we go vote for the love of we country, and we go vote to protect the treasury. We go vote, it's only Dr. Only, the right choice for TNT. PNM is the choice, PNM is the voice. PNM all the way on election day is the right choice at the right time. Hands in the air for the valleys. Hey, introducing my friend, the chairman of Sasha. We vote in PNM. Anyway, right choice, proud leader. The battle for your nation, your life matter, yeah. We leadership, yo, we promise you forever, yo. Vote PNM and everything will be much better, yeah. Strength and honor in 5 years of government. Never again will we allow mismanagement. PNM is here to say them love is permanent. Loyal to the flag and never about the establishment. Would them try if you check and sell out? But them can't buy my vote, me not bow out. They better move when red army are run out. All these deceitful people will get burn out. Yeah, we say Dr. Rowley and the head of phenomenal. The UNC full of pirates and criminal. Send for the doc, cause the state is critical. Surgery to perform, and this country's political structure. Send for the doctor again. Sign my name with a golden pen. I want you sign pen. Sign my name, sign my name. Sign my name with a golden pen. Yeah, we vote in PNM. Everybody know you sign my name. I say my name. Show me your vote. I want you sign my name. We vote in PNM. Everybody start to say PNM is a PNM power. PNM a positive healing power. PNM moving forward together. PNM introducing Rishi, my brother.
All of we is one family. All of we is one family. Working together to build this country. When the world was quaking, everyone agreed. When the world was quaking, we happy it was he. And that is why we voted for Dr. Rowley. Say super, 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 super.
Sing your praise, say red.
Sprinkle the water.
Red.
Getting on the higher.
Red.
The spirit is there.
Red.
Sprinkle everywhere.
Red.
Wherever is a head.
Red.
For the doctor I said, where you rock, where you flag, where you rock, where you flag, where you rock, where you rock. Sprinkle on the rock.
gentlemen, great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. And August 10th, we shall prevail. Thank you very much. But you know what, Grande? It's the last one. And before we go, we got to dance. Young girl, come. You stop right here. I like you. You're going to be dancing tonight. Make some noise for my friend. Trinidad. Trinidad. Trinidad, go to run it. Let me go. Hey, hey.
The money best. Only youths. New dance. They are go like this. Only youths rocking with the PNM.
Hey.
Only steppers rolling with the PNM. Only rolling with the show them. With the PNM. With the PNM. New dance for the PNM.
Hey.
Only youths and the children.
Right.
New dance for the PNM.
Let me see
that.
that.
For the PNM. Let me do it. Let me do it. Right foot, balize. Left foot, balize. Everybody just do the balize. Everybody just do the balize. Again. Right foot, balize. Left foot, balize. Everybody just do the balize. The new dance is called the balize. Them other party can't test. PNM is pure happiness. Them deliver all the promises. Integrity and test.
Right.
Do it. New dance, balize, just do it. New dance, balize, just do it.
Right.
Red rag, red jam, just show it.
Everybody.
Red rag, red flag, just show it. Only you trucking with the PNM. Only steppers all up with the PNM.
Right.
Only steppers moving with the PNM. With the PNM. With the PNM. Show them super. New dance. Super, I want to see it, super. The children. New dance for the PNM. Everybody in time, let me go. Super, show them. Right foot, balize. Left foot, balize. Everybody just do the balize. Yeah. Everybody just do the balize. Right foot, yeah. Balize. Left foot, balize. Everybody just do the balize. The new dance is called the balize. They ain't no here on the place. No other party can step in on your face. He and them belly no no big race. All them other parties will say, balize. 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 PNM to the world.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, everybody. Hey, great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. And we will always prevail.
Thank you so very much, Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you for rallying safely with us over these past few weeks. Thank you to our political leader and our Prime Minister, a man in whom we trust. We look forward to your support on Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Get home safely. God bless you. God bless our nation. Great is the PNM.
Heads up high, we're together.